Today, I have a wonderful guest on my channel. We have Richard from the YouTube channel Richard Travels. So it's very cool because before I was a guest on his channel, and now he's a guest on my channel. And Richard has been to Thailand 26 times throughout his entire life. That's more times than I've been to Thailand. So let's tell my audience, why did you travel to Thailand so often?
So it's a great question. I really fell in love with the country early on. And it's one of those things, Julian, where I had talked about it for so long before actually coming to Thailand. I talked about coming to Thailand for 10 years before I originally came. It was one of those things where I would talk. One day I'll go, one day I'll go. I was a little intimidated by the flight duration. It's like 27 hours from door to door from my place to Thailand. And that was pretty intimidating for me. I'd never been on a long haul flight before. My longest flight was 6 hours before that. So the whole notion of getting on a flight and going 15 hours to either Manila or, somewhere else and then transferring to Thailand was quite intimidating. So it took up a lot to get me to get on that first flight. But, it's funny. I was just thinking like, gosh, I was in the rat race. I was working, 12, 16 hours a day, doing quite well in my profession, but not taking any vacation time. And I finally said, like, now is the time to take some time off. So I took 2 weeks off and I came to Thailand for my first time and just really fell in love with the country, the culture. And it was a very interesting feeling for me. I really felt like I was coming home that first time. It just felt very comfortable for me, going out to the islands, the Thai people. And I came back just with this pretty bad case of depression. I came back to America and I was depressed, man. That's where I want to be. I want to be back in Thailand. I met a girl that first trip, of course, right? Rookie mistake. I always call it a rookie mistake, meeting a girl, the first trip. I always told everyone, I read all kinds of articles saying, do not, meet a girl, do not commit. But it's just one of those things. I kind of met someone that was great, a nice match for me. And the interesting thing about coming back to Thailand, that second trip, was it was actually her birthday. So that was my first 3-night trip coming back to Thailand. So this is the first of my crazy trips back to Thailand that people kind of scratch their head and say, you came back for 3 days? So in my defense, it was her birthday. I wanted to come back and spend time with her. So it was a month later, I came back for 3 nights. And it was an interesting stay because I literally traveled all the way around the world, half around the world, to come back for 3 nights. And it was a great feeling being somewhere totally different, after traveling so far. So I loved it. From there, I kind of just kept coming back. The first year I traveled to Thailand 9 times. So I came out quite a bit that first year. I had a job where I could pretty much work for a couple days remotely. That was back in 2015. So I had a little bit of flexibility in my job. And then also I would take advantage of any US holiday. So if there was a holiday, I was out of the country. I would, take a long weekend, that kind of thing. Any kind of US holiday, I was out of the country. And that meant, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Memorial Day, Labor Day, anything like that, 4th of July. I remember I was talking with some work friends on the 30th of June. And they were asking me, hey, so what are you going to be doing for the long weekend? I said, I'm on a flight to Thailand tonight. Oh. they shake their head like, what, you're going to be back on Wednesday? Yeah, I'm just taking like Tuesday off. I'll be back, So
yeah, that's wild. I had no idea that you had some trips that were only 3 nights long because the flight is close back and forth. That's like 30 hours right there already.
Yeah,
right?
It's essentially you lose 1 day. So it's 1 day of traveling. People say like, oh, it's 2-3 days of traveling. It's 1 day. So it's 24 hours door to door. You leave your apartment, you walk into the hotel in Bangkok. It's 24 hours. So, and it's one of those things where you get to be a professional traveler. Like what was initially like, wow, this is a long trip, is not really a big deal anymore. You kind of get used to the duration, and a lot of these trips I was taking business class. I built up miles pretty quickly and status on these airlines pretty quickly. When you're traveling 8,000 miles one way, the status builds up quick. So I was getting upgrades to business class. And I got to tell you, when you do have a lay flat seat to travel over to Thailand, it's the duration of the trip is much more palatable. So it's not as rough.
Is the difference in the price? Is it a pretty significant difference between economy and business class?
So I think from economy to business class, it's about 3x the cost. If you're going
Oh,
from premium economy to business, it's maybe like double the cost. But if you do have status and you're using your miles, then essentially there's no cost difference between premium economy and business. You're just using your miles to upgrade. So I was doing that a lot.
okay. Maybe if I get some YouTube money coming in, I can try my first business class flight back to America.
Yeah, I think you're quite the entrepreneur, Julian. So I think things will work out for you in the
Thank
future.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Richard. Hey, so the next question I wanted to talk to you about is what is the main differences between the cost of living in America compared to Thailand? Because I wanted to make a comment before you talk about it, is I'm starting to notice that the cost of living in Thailand and America seems to not be nearly as significant as it used to be maybe 15, 20 years ago.
I think so. That's a fair statement, right? So I do think that it's changed a bit over the years. But I will tell you what for me has not changed is the cost of rent or owning a home. So for me, rent is quite expensive where I live in San Francisco. I will tell you that still remains. So that gap remains between the U.S. and Thailand, where it's pretty much a quarter of the cost to live in Thailand rent wise versus America. So what I'm paying for my little 500 square foot apartment in San Francisco, I can get a much larger place for a quarter of the cost.
You could probably get a mansion out in Isan or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for $200-300 a month, probably have a nice place, right? Nice home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
I found. That's a great point. I found like the further out you go from the cities, the better and the cheaper it is. It's just whatever your comfort level is. And I tell a lot of people, and you'll probably agree with this, what your Thai language comfort level is. So how much Thai you can speak kind of determines on how far out from the city you can live.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense because the further out you go, the less likely you're going to meet people who speak English.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. I've also been a little concerned too with the very strong Thai baht versus the U.S. dollar. That's been something that's been a kind of a concern for me because even me, I'm pretty young, and I remember coming out here for the first time and getting close to 34 baht for one U.S. dollar, and now the baht is all the way down to 29 baht for one U.S. dollar. So it definitely makes a big difference because when you're transferring 1,000 US dollars, you're losing about 6,000 baht compared to just how it was just a few years ago.
Yeah, so it's significant, right? So, I mean, you mentioned 34 to 1. It's currently 29. I think last time I checked this morning, it was 30 and change. So,
Oh,
for a lot of people that have not been to Thailand, and this is as of what, January or February 3rd or something, 2021, just to put it in perspective. If you're listening to this 5 years later, who knows what it's going to be? But,
right.
to your point, so for people that have not been to Thailand, haven't been out of the country, maybe 29 or 30 sounds like a lot. And it is a lot, right? So that's a great exchange rate. But for those of us that have been to Thailand when it's been greater, that's a heck of a change. So for me, coming in 2015 and 2016, it was 36 to 1. Remember sitting
Oh,
in the bars and Soy Diamond and Pattaya where the mama-san would come out and say, hey, all the farongs, it just hit 36. And we would all cash out our beer tab, go back to the hotel, get our stack of US dollars and go and exchange it because for a couple days, usually in December or January, it would spike up. It'd be very weak. The dollar would be very strong, and we would go and exchange our money. And that was 36 to 1 is significant. So to come down from 36 to 30 to 29, yeah, I mean would that cause me not to come back and holiday vacation in Thailand? Probably not, but it would change what I would do when I was in Thailand. Maybe I would not travel as much. So that's a real problem for the country, right? So that's something that I think that the Thai government is looking at, and hopefully that changes in the future.
yeah. I think the demographic that's getting hit the hardest right now is the retiree who retired in Thailand 15 to 20 years ago, because they're noticing the major difference because they're on Social Security, which might only be 1,300, 1,500 US dollars per month, depending on how high their income was when they were working. So they're the ones that are really affected because the cost of living in Thailand 20 years ago already was much lower. You could buy a bowl of noodle soup for maybe 20 baht or something like that. Now a bowl of soup is probably 40 to 50 baht. And on top of that, the dollar is getting weaker versus the Thai baht. So they're the demographic that's really affected, is the retiree who's on a fixed income in Thailand. That's just what I've noticed.
No, I think you're spot on there. And I think that's caused a lot of the expats to make difficult decisions. I think a lot of those individuals have moved out of Thailand. They're now living in Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia. I think those changes have already happened. Those happened back, I think, when it was coming down to 31, 30. Once it dipped down to 29, I think a lot of people moved out. And I think that's a difficult decision. If you're on a fixed income, you have to go where your money goes the furthest, especially if you're not tied down, if you're not owning a place in Thailand, which is what I always tell people. Like, if you're going to retire, my preference for myself is to not own. I want to rent. I've talked to a lot of expats that have money that have chosen not to own because they want the flexibility to kind of move around as they like. And I think that there's a lot of benefit there to a lot of people.
How would you advise people to make friends while they're out here in Thailand?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And I would just ask for maybe a clarifying question of you. So friends, do you mean expat friends or Thai friends? Because I feel like those are two different buckets, right?
Yeah, I would say both. I would say it's good to have both.
So it probably is. I've had an easier time making Thai friends just because I've found that they're more open to having friendships, this kind of thing. I would say that I'm very reluctant to make friends with expats living in Thailand. I feel like there's always an agenda. Well, I shouldn't say always. I said most of the time there's an agenda there. So, so I'm very reluctant to sort of do that. A lot of the friends that I've met, expats in Thailand, are friends I've met on YouTube. So I've kind of become friends with them slowly over time. I've met so many expats in Thailand that, they start sizing you up, like, hey, so where do you live in America? What kind of car do you have? Do you own? Do you rent? It's like all these red flag questions. You're like, man, this guy's really trying to size me up for what I don't know. So, so I'm a little reluctant. But I would say for Thai friends, just make conversation. It's just simple conversation, and the bars goes a long way. When I go to bars, I always try to talk to the mama-san. If it's a new bar, I'll ask to talk to the mama-san, who's the manager. Hey, how you doing? Can I buy you a drink? Talk to them. They'll usually introduce me to other people. When I first started coming to Thailand, I was using one of those limousine services from the Bangkok airport to Pattaya, and spending a premium for that, right? That's a premium service because it's so convenient. But when I was in one of the bars talking to the mama-san, she asked, what do you use to go from the airport to Pattaya? I told her. She said, I got a friend who can take you for half that cost. So that was my friend Prim that I met my first year traveling. A nice Thai guy. He's actually a Muay Thai boxer and instructor. So got to meet him, got to meet other people, and it just kind of sort of spiders out from there. Your network becomes quite strong. Now I have a number of people that I talk to on a daily basis, from boat operators to taxi services to just people that can kind of get me stuff. And I think you might have seen this, Julian, when you came out, in that when I first came out, I spoke zero Thai. I think my first trip, I was impressed with myself that I could say hello, Sawadee Kap. I remember coming down the elevator, I had a little flashcard written, Sawadee Kap, saying it over and over. Such a big deal for me. I remember the person's response when I finally said it for the first time, Sawadee Kap, and he's like, Sawadee Kap. And I was like, the expression, I realized I want to learn more. So I went back to the US, put my head down, tried to learn. The more I learned, the more the experience changed for me. I don't know if you saw that, the fact that you could speak Thai pretty fluently kind of opened up a different type of world in Thailand.
Yeah, I feel like you're able to connect a lot better with Thai people, when you're able to actually speak the language, even though you may be a foreigner, but once you speak Thai, I feel like they're a lot more open to, conversing with you on a little more deeper level and helping you a little more with stuff.
Yeah. And I feel like it's just you're showing respect to the culture. And I don't come in being boisterous about my Thai. I feel like my Thai is horrible. But at least I try. Right. So I feel like I'm pretty conversational now. I try. It's not the best. I've been out of Thailand now for about a year. It's coming up on a year since I've been to Thailand, and my Thai is pretty spotty now. And I feel like the more often I was going, the better I was getting, and I was so excited because it's that immersion, right? So I feel like when you came over, you probably were pretty conversational, but being able to speak it to other Thais, like next level probably for you, right?
Yeah, definitely living out here definitely made me have to step up my game and learn Thai a lot quicker. But
Yeah. Have you
yeah,
found, Julian, do you speak Thai and Isan? Do you speak the different dialects as well a little bit?
I can understand a little bit. Usually I have some trouble understanding people from Chiang Mai because they have a different dialect up there. But I can pretty much travel throughout Thailand, and most people will understand the Bangkok dialect. So even if you go from Bangkok to Isan, most of them can still understand you. But if I'm going from Bangkok to, for whatever reason, to Chiang Mai, in Chiang Mai, I have a real hard time understanding them in Chiang Mai.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. They speak ภาษาเหนือ which ภาษาเหนือ is the what's that called, the North language
Is
up
that
there.
like borderline Cambodia language? Like Cambodia, like, so it's like the Golden Triangle up there, right? You got Cambodia, Laos.
Yeah, it's a totally different dialect, and if you go up there and you're speaking the Bangkok dialect, most people will converse with you on the Bangkok dialect. But if you go up there, and I've noticed this more in the older generation, if you talk with like people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, they speak the real Nha dialect, and they're very difficult to understand.
Hmm.
Yep.
Interesting.
So, are you planning to eventually retire in Thailand? And if you do plan on retiring in Thailand, why Thailand versus some other Southeast Asian countries?
Yeah, so Thailand will definitely be my home base in retirement. So I can probably answer a couple of those questions with one answer, and that Thailand will be the place that I retire, and it'll be a home base, but I will visit other countries while I'm in Thailand. I feel like Bangkok is such a great place to be in to then visit other countries. Great hub, great airport. They're adding on to it as we speak. So I think in the next year or two, there'll be a whole different area to the Bangkok airport, allowing more flights to come in and leave. So, and the reason I want to retire in Thailand is I want to retire where I'm treated best and my dollar goes the furthest. So right now that is Thailand. And I got to tell you, so people say like, why not Vietnam? Why not Cambodia? So I've invested time in Thailand. I've been there 26 times over the last 5, almost 6 years now. So I understand the culture. I speak a little bit of the language, Pasatai Nit Noi, but I could probably speak it more if I spent more time there. But I just understand it. I feel like it's comfortable for me. And I love everything about it, from the nightlife. I'm never shy to say like, hey, I enjoy the love I love going out. I love going to the bars, meeting the ladies, that kind of stuff. But I also like the daytime activities, man. I love going to the floating markets. I love going to the islands. I love everything about Thailand, which is why I think that'll be the place that I retire.
Yeah, that sounds good. And what's your favorite Thai food out here in Thailand?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I thought like last time we talked, we might have talked about this and I skirted the question, but now there's no way for me to skirt it. So I have to actually come out and say, I actually do not eat Thai food.
Oh, wow, that's surprising.
So maybe that could be the title of this interview. Been to Thailand 26 times, doesn't speak or doesn't eat Thai food. It's
That's
just
funny.
it's a bit spicy for me. Even though when I order it, no spice, it's still difficult. There are dishes that I can't eat, so I can't say that I don't eat it at all. But my preference is Farong food, and
Okay, like
yeah, like any kind of Western food, right? So from Italian food to American food, steak. I'm a steak and potatoes kind of guy. I actually did a video on a different channel about all the different food options in Thailand if you only eat Western food. And I trying to debunk that myth of, a lot of people, Julian, I talk to say, oh, I'd love to go to Thailand, but I don't eat Thai food. I can't do the Thai food. But like, there's so much more. Like, don't let that keep you from coming to a beautiful country. Like, there's many other dishes you can eat. There's all different kinds of foods there. I've had the best Italian food in Jomtien. So I've
yeah.
met some great people that can't afford to open up a nice restaurant in America. So they'll do it in Thailand, and it's great food. So that's the big takeaway. Richard does not eat Thai food.
That's interesting. What's one of your favorite American food restaurants out here?
Yeah, I love Prime Burger in Pattaya. I've been in search of like a great steak place. So I like beef eaters in Pattaya as well. I actually tried to do a little search around Bangkok for a great steak place, and I have not found one yet. And when I say like great steak place, I mean the thicker steaks that all of us in the US and America are used to. They don't tend to have those in Thailand, a little thinner. So yeah, a little bit of a trade-off.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you on that one. What is one thing that you think every tourist should experience in Thailand?
I think the islands. Experience the islands in Thailand. That's important. You got to get out, man. You got to get off the bar stool if you're coming to the big cities. You got to get out to the islands. That was, man, that was just like jaw dropping for me, getting off the beaten track, seeing the blue water, getting out on the boats. I would say try to get that private boat tour. It's not a lot of money. You know, a lot of people will try to pinch their pennies and go for these boat tours where you got like 100 people in a boat. And so that's a different experience than if you have one guy taking you out for the day. And I would say that's investing in the experience that you can then take back home with you. So what may cost you 4,000 baht, it may be sticker shock. You may say 4,000 baht, I can go to that same island for 100 baht, but it's a different experience. If you spend the 4,000, have someone take you out for the day. You know, I got a guy, his name is Rockman in Pattaya. He's my exclusive boat guy. He takes me out and we'll do things like we'll barbecue chicken on the beach. Like his wife will buy a lot of chicken. We'll take it out. We'll spend the day on the beach drinking beer, barbecuing chicken. Now that's a different experience, and that's included in the 4,000 baht. So 100 baht, and you're going with 100 people on a boat, or 4,000 baht for somewhere where you can kind of hang out, make a friend, barbecue chicken, and drink a beer. That's a great experience for me.
Yeah, I have to agree with that too. I think if you come out to Thailand, some certain things you might have to pay a premium for, but the experience is going to be so much better.
Yeah,
it really is. What are some ideas for foreigners to make money in Thailand?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's similar to what you're doing, right? You got to kind of hustle. And so we talked about this earlier around expats that come out on a fixed income, right? Social Security, they don't have only so much money each month. So that's not what I will do. When I come out and retire in Thailand and be there full time, I'll have other business opportunities that I'll be working on. So I definitely want to partner with existing companies, invest in those businesses and watch them grow. I feel like that's a nice way to make some additional money. So what is that business, right? So it's anywhere from helping people with retirement to talking about different visa options to showing people around the city, having VIP tours to show people around the nightlife. There's a huge need for that. People that either come to Bangkok or to Pattaya, show them around, show them the ropes. So what does that look like, right? So different type of business ventures, just being a hustler. And I feel like that's a way for you to make additional income, invest in other businesses. Will I own a bar in Thailand? If you were to ask me a year ago, 5 years ago, I'd say absolutely not, because I've heard the stories, right? About, oh my gosh, if you want to own a bar is an easier way, just burn your money. You're just going to burn your money, you're going to go through all your savings. But it's changed for me now because I have friends that are bar owners there. And I see so if you're a smart guy, there's a way to make money there. You can be a bar manager, a bar owner. So I think my outlook on that has changed dramatically. I definitely have a high level of respect for bar owners in Pattaya and Bangkok. They know what they're doing. It can sometimes be a tough living. I understand that, but I feel like there is a way to make a profit there.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing your thoughts about that. And moving on to this question, because this is how we actually met, is why did you decide to start your Thailand podcast?
Yeah, so it's a great question. When I went back to Thailand, last time I was there was in February of 2020. Everyone thought I was crazy. The situation was just taking off, specifically in Bangkok. You might remember this, it was pretty big. In February, there was a lot of, situations going on there. I came back during that time. It was fine in Pattaya and Jomtien. It was great. I had a video series I created coming back from that called Richard Returns to Thailand, 10-part series, kind of chronicling what it was like to be in Pattaya, the nightlife. I sort of slowly during that video series took people out of Pattaya and was trying to show them that there's more to do than just the nightlife, the day life. You can go to Buriram, you can go to Chiang Rai, You know, you can go to other areas, Phuket. So I tried to show them different areas of Thailand. But after that, I was at a loss because I couldn't go back to Thailand. And my good friends are saying, you got to like get more content. Your channel is going to shrink. It's going to go away. I think at that point, I just maybe not quite had 1,000 subscribers, Julian. I think I had like 500 subscribers after the I think about like 6 or 7 parts at launch. My friends had told me maybe what you should do is do like a podcast type thing where you have guests come on. I remember saying to my good friends, I'm not doing that, man. Pfft, no way. Not about that. It's tough enough doing the live streams. At that point, I was doing these 30 to 45-minute live streams that when I look back on them, Julian, were just horrible. Oh, man. Had no confidence. I would come on and ask, can you hear me? Can you hear me? For like the first minute or 2 minutes. It was horrible. I look back on that. I'm like, oh, man, I was so green. But I will tell you, like, so it was tough because getting my first guest on, nobody wanted to come on. Who's this Richard Travel guy? He got like 500 subscribers. Oh, my gosh. No, thank you. Maggie from Maggie's Journey was my first guest. I had to kind of talk her into it a little bit. But she used to come on to my live streams and kind of comment and stuff like that. So I got her to come on and it was great. I had a great time. We joked around. And then after that first one, I was able to get another person. I think it was Big Fat Bestie came on. Oh, we just cracked each other up. It was so much fun, getting a lot of positive feedback. And then from there, I noticed I had a library of work. So it was getting a little bit easier to get people on. And then as I started to get more higher tier YouTube creators, people that had more subscribers, it became a little bit easier. Like Johnny, There Is Something Happening came on. We had a funny, hilarious interview where he kind of turned the tables on me and asked me questions. It kind of turned into an interview session of me. And I just started having a great time. I started studying how to interview people. So I sort of became a little more dangerous in my craft. I started listening to other YouTube creators, other podcasts, watch them interview people. And I feel like I got a little bit better at it. Was getting a lot of great responses. And then the channel started to kind of take off because I feel like people were being exposed to my channel a little more. And it was helpful in having you on the show because you sort of schooled me up on the benefit of having tags in the video. So what I would do is I would, if I had Foreigner Joe on, well, Foreigner Joe was one of my tags. And I felt like what that was doing is, so if you're a Foreigner Joe subscriber, you would all of a sudden see Richard Travel on your recommended page because there was a tag in there for Foreigner Joe. And I was getting exposed to a lot more people. Lucas from Rides for Kicks came on. That was a huge bump up for me. That's still, I think, the best performing live stream video. I have almost 17,000 views on that. And for a small channel like mine, like that's a lot of views. And he was great. I consider him to be a friend. He actually not only socialized the live stream before it happened on his social media, but he actually did it on his videos as well. Like, hey, coming up tomorrow, I'll be on Richard Travel. So I think we had 207 people in the live chat during that. And that's still the record for me, having over 200. So that was great. But the long-winded answer to your question is I started really like what I was doing there. I loved interviewing the guests, finding out more information about them, and it allowed the channel to grow. So I think as we're recording this, I'm about 75 subscribers away from 5,000, which is a huge metric that I never thought I would hit in a year. So it's been about a year since I've started the channel. To go from 0 to 5,000 in a year is, hats off to everyone that's helped me. People like you, Julian, who's come on the show. I couldn't do it without you guys. It's not me, it's you and the subscribers. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, I'm proud of you too. That's pretty impressive in 1 year to go from 0 to 5,000. And have you noticed that you've experienced some exponential growth in the last couple of months? Have you felt like it's been easier to get more and more subscribers each month?
So it's interesting because I know when I interviewed Simon from Land of Smiles, Thailand, he's like, yeah, it'll get easier now. I think I was at like 3,000 or 30. He's like, yeah, it'll get easier now. Exponentially, it'll grow. And I thinking to myself, like, no, it's not like that for me, Simon. It's like little dribs and drabs. Like literally, it's like 1, 2 at a time. It's no big surge of subscribers. It's just like a bunch of hard work. I've noticed that it's picked up a little bit lately with Foreigner Joe that I had on just a week ago, and I have Phil from Le Pub Pattaya coming on this week. I feel like the word is getting out a little bit more. Like more people are starting to hear about me. So I do feel like it's picking up a little bit, but there's been no huge onslaught of numbers. I'm waiting for that time where I kind of log in. And it's like, oh, I gained 1,000 subscribers overnight. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Unless I have
Yeah.
some kind of viral video, right? I think the interview format just going to kind of be slowly ticking up.
Either way, though, I think you have a very good niche because I think you're probably one of the only few YouTubers doing what you're doing. You know, doing a podcast interviewing Thai vlog. I don't think there's very many YouTubers doing that. I think you're probably the biggest one. I think there's only one other channel that I know is called, I think, Bangkok Strange. Did you ever watch them?
No, I haven't. I'll have to check that out after that.
Yeah, Bangkok Strange. They had some big guys. They had like Retired Working for You on there.
Yeah.
And they had a couple other YouTubers who have a pretty decent following, but I believe that you're the biggest uh, podcast interviewing Thailand vloggers. I think, but there's only
Yeah.
one other. There's only one other podcast that I know of, and it's called Bangkok Strange.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, so I've always tried to separate myself from the rest in that I do a tremendous amount of research on the YouTube creator before they come on. Like I watch all the videos over and over again. I'll take 2 pages of notes of questions I want to ask of that person. So I feel like I really know them. And then when I bring them on, it's not about me. It's all about them. So I feel like there's 2 buckets for my show. I'll bring on YouTube creators that are struggling to find an audience that want to get over 1,000 subscribers. It's all about them, man. It's like I'll do a lot of promotion for them on the channel, on the video as well. A lot of promotion, let's showcase some of their videos, that kind of stuff. The larger YouTubers, it's a sign of respect to show them that I know what they've done. So I definitely try to make a point of letting them know that I know all about their videos. I won't ask remedial questions that I should know the answer to, like, hey, so when did you first come to Thailand? Oh, so what are you doing in Pattaya right now? I should all know that information coming in. I feel like the guests I have on the show appreciate that because they can see I've done my research. I'm asking smart questions. And then a lot of it's just having a quality interview. And that's comes from practicing, watching a lot of other interview format shows so that I know how to kind of break the ice coming in, put the guests at ease. I can tell right off the bat if someone's nervous coming on the show or not. So I've sort of made things difficult on myself because the more sophisticated the show gets, I feel like the more nervous the guests are coming on because I have like the intro video coming on with music. I got a flashy background. Now I have a new mic and people are like, oh, this is kind of like a real show. So I'll try to disarm the guests right away, pay them a compliment, tell them I'm a huge fan of their channel, call out some of their videos, and I can see them kind of relax pretty quickly.
What would be your advice for anyone who wants to move out to Thailand?
Yeah, I would say start making your plans today. Start doing the research today. It costs nothing to research. And I feel like that's the biggest thing. That's the most exciting part of having the actual move or retiring out there is the planning. So I would say start doing that. Start researching cost of living. Start researching what the apartment rentals are, medical insurance. All this kind of stuff can be exciting and get you more motivated for actually doing it. Everyone that I talk to, the more research they do, the more committed they are to actually coming out and retiring in Thailand. I would say definitely think about doing a vacation out there first. I would say if you're serious about, hey, I want to retire outside of my home country, then do a vacation in Thailand. Come out for a week to 10 days first. Come out then for a longer duration trip, 30 days, and then see where you want to retire.
Yeah, so when you come out here and retire, you'll probably most likely do the retirement visa then, right? That'll probably be the easiest way to stay out here for a long time.
No, I think so. It's an open-ended question. I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like the retirement visa is great, and I do qualify for that. I'm over 50 years old, that kind of stuff. I check all those boxes, but I'm not sure if the retirement visa allows you to still work. So that would be my biggest concern. Is I want to do everything by the book there. So and see the downside with the elite visa, which is definitely something that I'm moving towards. That's the road I'm sort of going down. The problem with that is I know that's kind of going back and forth on if you can work or not. It sounds like if you invest in property with the elite visa, there's some benefits there, but I'm not sure if you can still work. So the most important thing for me is that I choose a visa where I can still work and operate a business. So that might be coming out and doing a different type of visa, but I'll definitely be utilizing a service to help me through those and navigate that road.
Okay, that's cool. And I think if you are interested in working out here, then I think a work visa would probably be pretty easy to get then, or a business visa, one of those two.
Yeah, for sure.
what are some things that foreigners should be aware of before they travel or move to Thailand?
Yeah, I think before traveling to Thailand, I've always tell people that you have to kind of leave your home country's ego behind. Here in America, I can tell I've seen many Americans that come over with their American ego, and that tends to get them in a little bit of trouble. What I mean by the ego is they come to Thailand thinking that if there's a dispute or an issue, if they raise their voice, they're going to get what they want, right? They need to always win. And in Thailand, I found that that can cause a lot of problems. You know, Thailand's all about saving face, right? So I feel like if you come over there and cause a scene over a bar bill dispute, that kind of thing, you're going to lose 100% of the time. And I feel like that's a big thing for a lot of people coming over to Thailand. They feel like they have to be right all the time. Just relax, you know, Thailand, sabai sabai, take it easy. That should be the attitude you should have come over, especially if you're coming over on vacation. You should really be on a different type of mode of just wanting to relax and enjoy life. So, and know that I can't tell you how many Americans, I don't know if you've seen this, Julian, they come to a bar like, I'll take a Bud Light, I'll take a Budweiser. It's like, they don't have that here, man. You gotta like have a Thai beer or something different. So I would say like do a little bit of research, like understand what kind of drink choices you're going to have coming over. It's not going to be Budweiser and Bud Light. You're going to have to choose like Singa or, you know, Chang or, you know, Tiger. My favorite is San Miguel Light. So yeah, you're going to have different options.
I saw Budweiser. They just brought them into the 7-Elevens just recently.
No way.
Yeah,
See,
so
I've been gone for too long.
yeah, so you could at not every 7-Eleven, but certain 7-Elevens they have Budweiser.
I wonder, are they like triple the cost because they got to import them?
I can't remember, but I think they might be 100 baht per bottle
That's not bad
for one tall bottle,
yeah.
One tall can. Yeah, but I hardly drink, so it doesn't really affect me that much.
Yeah, yeah.
So the last question I have is, do you have one question that you want to ask me?
Yeah, I feel like, so what are your plans, Julian? Do you want to stay in Thailand? Do you see yourself going back to America to live for a year or two and coming back, or you feel like Thailand is your place to be now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I really only have my grandma in America. That's kind of like my main family that I have in America. So I wanted to go see her for a vacation or for a visit this year, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that just because there's a lot of factors that are coming into play. And I really want to focus on getting my YouTube channel to be more sustainable because I feel like I'm on the right track. It's been a long, slow process, but I really feel like I need to focus on the YouTube channel and get it to a certain point before I can go back to America. Because when I go back to America, that's going to be, you know, three months of not making YouTube videos. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like you're pumping out a lot of content, man. Like you're a hard worker out there with your videos. And I do feel like your game is up-leveled consistently. I've seen this all the time with other YouTube creators. Like your editing is just spot on now. I love the music choices you have in your videos. I feel like you've continued to improve over this last year.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And my videos, I'm kind of like Chocolate Man in Thailand, where I think he mentioned in your interview you did together, like if he makes a video, he posts it like right away. He doesn't like spot it out and time it out. So that's kind of what I've been doing is I make a video and I just post it. So I actually made in one day, I made 3 videos one time.
Wow.
This was just recently. This was like my last like 3 videos. I think I made like 3 videos in one day. And that could be good and bad at the same time because some YouTubers, they would space that out for an entire week. So they might do like Monday, Thursday, Saturday or something like that. So I don't know the algorithm right now. I don't know what's better, if to space it out or just to post it all in one day. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm experimenting. We all don't really know what we're doing. We just kind of keep making videos, and some videos they work and some videos they don't work. And I wanted to share something with you that maybe we could talk about it when we go on March. I think March 6th, right, is when we're doing. That's
right. I was going to say you're coming on my show soon, so I don't want to ask too many questions because I have my line of questioning ready for you.
Yeah, but I wanted to share with you. I experienced a a viral video, which I've never experienced a viral video ever before. And YouTube, they have this new feature called YouTube Shorts. I don't know if you have
Yeah.
you have,
Yep. I've
have
heard
you
of that.
Okay, so I made one video about a dog. It was like this cute dog that had this cone around its head,
Yeah.
and it was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. So I've never experienced anything like this before on my channel. And in 4 hours, this video got 160,000 views.
Incredible. And how long?
Yeah,
What was the duration of the video? Was it just like 15 seconds?
the video was 1 minute long.
1 minute long.
It was a 1 minute long video, and it was bizarre because I logged into my Google Analytics and I saw that in the last 48 hours I had 100 I think it was 165,000 views in the last 48 hours. But the crazy thing was it just spiked for 4 hours, and then it just went back down to normal. But
Did you pick up subscribers off of that one?
500 subscribers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
excellent.
yeah, but I was hoping that maybe that was about a dog. I was hoping that one of my videos that maybe we're talking about the cost of, I made a couple 1 minute videos. So
Okay.
I'm thinking that maybe if one of these other videos go viral that has me actually in it, talking about Thailand, I think that would probably get me more subscribers than the dog video.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Now, I want to ask you a question about that because the YouTube Shorts, as I understand it, is only a feature that opens up at 5,000 subscribers. So is that actually a YouTube short or is it just a short duration video?
So this has been my research on it too, because I was very fascinated about it, and I had no idea that this was going to help my channel. I wasn't expecting it at all. I just saw. Do you know a guy named Mr. Beast?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So I saw that he was experimenting with YouTube Shorts, and so what you have to do this is from my experience. This is from my research that I've done. I believe that you have to take the video in vertical format.
Okay.
So you have to. I think the format's going to be like this, right? Where it's like, yeah. So you have to take it in vertical format, and it has to be less than 1 minute long. So preferably 58 seconds long, because sometimes when you have the video 58 seconds long, for whatever reason, the short adds an extra second to it.
Sure.
So you might not qualify for it. Then in the title, it's good to, like, say you do a video like interview with Julian, right? In the title, you have to put hashtag shorts.
Okay.
And then in the description of the video, you have to have hashtag shorts at the very bottom.
Very bottom. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could have the description like normal, but at the very bottom, you need to have hashtag shorts. And if YouTube picks it up, you'll see it in your analytics that it will say that when you hit when you hit reach in analytics, it's going to say like where your traffic came from. If YouTube picked it up, it will say that 80% of your traffic was from shorts. But if YouTube doesn't pick it up, it will say the basic stuff. It will say 80% of your traffic is from browse features or YouTube search or something like that. Yeah, so it might be something you could look into, but at the same time, it's gonna piss off your audience a little bit too, because I got some comments because I posted 5 shorts in a row. And I got some comments that are like, what are these? Like, what are you doing? especially your channel, who does like much longer video content. People might get confused.
Yeah, I wonder if I could do some bloopers from some of the interview shows that I've had. Maybe I can make a funny like little blooper reel, something like that. I kind of did something like that for Foreigner Joe's interview. I'm going to be premiering that on the Saturday live show. I did I think it's like a 1 minute duration video, like some outtakes of things we had. So yeah, we'll see. You have to check out the show this weekend and tell me what you think.
Okay. I watched your interview with Foreigner Joe. I thought it was very good.
Oh, he was great. He was great. Took me 7.5 months to get him on the show.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Richard, for joining this stream today. I really appreciate having you onto my channel. And if you're new in seeing Richard from the YouTube channel Richard Travels, please go check his channel out. The link will be in the description below. Any final thoughts you want to leave my audience?
No, thank you for having me on your show. I look forward to having you on my show in a couple weeks. So that'll be great. And I would say, please consider subscribing to Richard Travel. I have a lot of videos there that I think will appeal to everyone.
Sounds good. So you could just subscribe to Richard Travels, and you can watch me on March 6th. You know, at what is it, Eastern time? What's the time?
So 8 a.m. U.S. Pacific, 11 a.m. U.S. Eastern, 11 p.m. Bangkok time.
Okay. Thank you so much, Richard, for being on my channel.